to take a trailer load of junk, do some work. I don't know. For some reason I can't connect to the Wi-Fi here. I don't know why. Never had a problem. Not sure it's going to come out good. So let's just go with what Scripture says. The true Messiah, the true King of Kings says, my Elohim and your Elohim, or falsely known as my God and your God. He didn't use a generic word. English didn't even exist. He didn't say God. But put that to the back seat for now. The true Elohim, that's the Hebrew word, and the Hebrew isn't pagan. But we should know it's translated as God. And people can be called Elohims. Some confusion comes just from that fact right there. That when the word God is used in the New Testament, it's from the Scripture, the word Elohim. And I'm convinced, beyond convinced in my own mind, the problems of the translation, what happened. I believe we have what we need, and he preserved it the way he wanted to, but it's not preserved perfectly. It's perfectly for how he wanted it to be, but there is no perfect translation. So the question I have to offer is, can someone say, my Father, or, goodness, my Elohim? Let me just put it on silence now. I'm just getting bombarded. Can someone say my Elohim or my Father without them meaning my Creator? Can you do that? If not, how could Messiah do that? Contradiction. Massive contradiction. We don't play word games. There's no contradictions, but religion, Christianity, plays word games like a snake. Going back to Genesis, the serpent, that crafty beast, snake, creepy crawler, was the punishment, right? This is the punishment, spiritual judgment for those who play word games and don't care about truth. They are spiritually turned into, as the judgment, as a creepy, slimy crawler, low to the earth. And people think that this is just talking about a beast turning into a snake or whatever. Those are spiritual words. They have higher spiritual meaning, heavenly meaning. When we're speaking to the snake, we become the snake. And all of religion does this. And it's not going to stand on this channel. If you don't like this truth, go to some 500,000K channel and eat their false words. Seriously. It's not standing here. They're teaching truth here. The true Messiah, not called Jesus. That's something everyone has to come to an understanding of. The reason why people call him Jesus is because they believe in the devil. And the Jesus of this world that Christianity believes in is the devil. The true Messiah kept the commandments. The true Messiah has an Elohim. For the sake of understanding, has a God, okay? The true Messiah has a Father. He says, pray in this manner, our Father. He said, my Father. There's no confusion here, no word games. We're going to make it simple. There's no room for this wickedness of a teaching that's 180 from the truth. And people that teach 180 from the truth, where do you think they got their truth from, so-called? The devil. Because the devil does things backwards. Mixes truth with lies to make it seem convincing. Messiah's words, we can read them. My Father, our Father, my Elohim, your Elohim. No different. So, to make it easy, he has a God no different than you have a God. Our Creator. How does someone get around this? They play word games like a snake. They don't care about truth. They're protecting their doctrine, and depending what angle you come from, it'll be a different contradiction. They'll make something up with their Trinity doctrine, which is just Babylonian snakery. Because every world religion has a Trinity and has had a Trinity. Do the study, do the research. Things are being revealed because all the secret things will be revealed. There's going to be a shining light before the coming of the true king. The true ecclesia will be shining. It'll be persecuted. And this world's going to do everything they can to get rid of them. And that includes people that are one with the world. Doesn't matter what religion. She rides the beast. We're not talking about a whore riding a physical beast here. But this is the picture of what's going on spiritually within. So the church world is the world. That's why the Messiah says, I pray not for the world. That's why he says that, because the false believers are of this world and in it and of it and love it. So that's why they teach this false doctrine. They're lying words from the heart coming out of their lips, and they're supposed to be of the truth. Every liar has their part in the lake of fire. If you're lying about something this massive, you're a liar. Obviously, people don't understand that or care about lying because it's so common. They're not repenting for lying and then teaching people lies without any worry or fear, because the wicked don't have any fear in their eyes. We read that too. How can someone say, my Elohim, my Father, and not mean my Creator? He's even called the firstborn of all creation. He's from the creation. If there was no literal Adam and Eve, there is no Messiah. If there's no King David, physical, literal man, there is no Messiah, because he came from there. Came from the line. But our Father had a plan, has a plan. And he chose this man to be the King of Kings and the true teacher, an example for how man worships our Creator. He worships our Creator. He says so. The true believers are all taught by our Creator. They shall all be taught by Elohim, he says. He prays. He prayed, we read, to our Creator. And I won't have the word games. That he is God, that he is the Creator, and yet when he prays to the Creator, he's not praying to himself here, because they'll make something up. They don't care about the contradictions and evil that comes from that. Messiah is praying to himself. Please, myself, don't let it be myself's will. It's time to get away from this foolishness. He's praying and sweating tears like blood, meaning this is not an easy time, to his Father. Please, don't let this be. If there's another way, show me. But there was no other way. But in the end, if there is or is not another way, not my will, your will be done. They don't believe those words, and I'm tired of hearing it. They don't believe those words. They cannot believe those words. It's not possible to believe those words and have that teaching that the church world teaches. It's just an idea. There's no real anything. There's no real Messiah. That's just like us, like we read in the scriptures, tempted just like us. He's just joking. He's just pretending to be an example. He wasn't the actual example. From the heart, hoping that there's a different way. They don't believe that. They'll say they believe that all they want. No, they don't. By their deeds and their teachings and actions, they prove that they don't. I know they don't. And I also know they'll never admit that they don't. It's not the person. It's not a personal problem. It's the teaching that I'm exposing and angry at. The lies because we're supposed to hate what our Creator hates and love what our Creator loves. We read that. No word games. No one's going to tell me I can't say certain things. It's not happening. They can do it in their own mind, in their imagination, in Mickey Mouse land, 33. Serving this world and loving this world. All this world does is mock the Messiah. That's all they can do. And they celebrate this death constantly, with their symbols, with their false cross symbols. You see it in Hollywood, you see it in Satanism, you see it in the music, you see it everywhere, in the movies, TV, everything. Whether it's upside down or upright, it doesn't matter. You think the world is actually representing some true symbol or something? No, it's not. That's the devil's symbol. Get rid of your crosses if you want to hear from our Creator. Moses had a stake, a rod, not a cross. And this was the type of Messiah dying on the stake. Look up the word cross on what it actually means. Stake, upright pole, tree, piece of wood. There is a problem with this simple teaching of the cross, okay? You have to remember that that's the Greek word, and Greek is pagan. They just use the word cross. It's a deception. That Greek word cross means stake or upright pole. It's just a word here. It doesn't mean a T. Yes, I know that's what everyone wants people to believe, that it means a T. It sounds like that. A cross has always been an evil symbol. Crosses and X's. There's all kinds of symbols. He died on a stake, like Moses' rod. It's not hard to imagine how this would have happened. The world cannot teach truth, even in the Hollywood movies of him dying on a cross. Just remember that cross means stake. That's all. It's a Greek word. It's not Hebrew. That's why I say that there's some problems that we have to see and understand. It's like this on purpose, to trip up the wicked. We'll see through this truth and we'll know that something happened. Something happened to the Hebrews, something. Because the scripture says not even to utter the false deities and pagan things and ideas. And yet we have true disciples writing a bunch of pagan deities and things, breaking the commandment, writing them down in words because all the Greek is pagan. You see the problem with that? But forget that for now, It's just something to bring up. Messiah says, Yahushua says, I have a Father. The Father is in me. My Elohim, your Elohim. What's the greatest commandment? The Father, my Father, our Father is one. One Master, one King, one Creator, one Elohim. Literally. This is not some weird, twisted deception, a cluster of grapes. Comparing our Creator to a cluster of grapes. Many grapes, one grape cluster. Scriptures don't teach this. It teaches the exact opposite. All the pagan deities, the God of the waters, and they all have sex and incarnations, and this God for this, and God for that, and God for this. The scriptures teach the opposite. Don't fear these gods, because what does the scripture say? They're no gods, no Elohims. That's what it says. They're nothing to fear, because they're nothing. But the people in their mind and heart believe they are, and the scriptures go along with that thought a lot of times. But the teaching is for those who can see that they're nothing. They're not actually creators, deities, real, with real power, okay? Remember, all things are given from our Creator, so the devil is given a certain power. He has a certain power, but he who is not of this world is greater than he who is of and in this world, the devil. Pharaoh was given power. The Egyptians were given power. It all comes from our Creator, no other source. Messiah says, I'm the true vine. The vine isn't the source. Do they believe those words? No, they don't. No, they don't believe he's the true vine. You can say it, they can say it all they want. They don't believe it. They don't even understand the earthly picture of what a vine is. How are they going to understand heavenly things then? They don't see or believe that a vine comes from the source. It's not the creator itself. There is no vine without from where it comes from. That's the picture. He says, I'm the true vine. He didn't say, I'm the creator of which the vine grows out from. He abided in the Father, so we abide in him, and he abides in the Father. So it's a hierarchy, if you will, but it's all one in the Spirit. He's the example of abiding in the Father. So if we abide in him, what? Because he's God or something? That's our Father gave him all things, all power. Do they understand what those words mean? He can say and says our Creator's words, and we should too. So if we abide in the true vine, we also abide in our Creator, because he abided in our Creator, in the Father. Can you see the physical picture so you see the spiritual thing? Our Creator is like the very root, the very source. And the vine was abiding in this source. So if we abide in the vine, we're connected. People will use this teaching and say, this is the proof he's God, because if we abide in him, nonsense. This is one of the biggest false teachings that there is, and it exposes people for what they are and who they worship. It's that big of a problem. Believe the scriptures. Do they believe about testing the spirits? Because not all are from our Creator. No. Do they believe that there's a problem with people believing in another Messiah? Or is Paul just playing some word games? There's no reality to this. They believe in another Messiah, just like Scripture says. Just like we have in the writings. Another spirit, another Messiah, another gospel. The world cannot teach the true gospel. The true glad message, good news. They teach the opposite. Torture for all eternity, for the trillions of trillions. Burning in an everlasting fire, not understanding Scripture, not understanding the meaning of Scripture. If we don't have his Spirit in us, our minds are not opened to Scripture. Messiah said that. Once again, do they believe that? No, they don't. Exposing the darkness and wickedness of liars, teachers, mainly the teachers that deceive those that believe in them. Someone will have to make this personal so that they can say, I'm evil. I understand that they're going to do that. I'm ready for it. It's all that's been going on. That's all that's ever going to go on. I get it. It's not personal, but they need it to be personal so they can accuse you. Messiah got very angry and flipped over the tables, and I'm sure he got angry a couple other times, and because many things happen that it would fill up the whole world, the book, if every little detail was given. Because of what the meaning is. In the temple, this temple represents us. There's merchandise being exchanged in the temple and money in the temple. So he flipped over that garbage and says, I'm not having it. Not in my Father's house, temple. If you have merchandise within you, because ye are the temple, it's a physical picture, once again, of spiritual truth, and Messiah understood this, and that's why he got angry. Because the physical manifestation, the first problem is spiritual, then it manifests physically. Yes, that's a physical problem. It's a sin to do that in the temple. But the true meaning of this is people love money and merchandise within their temple. He will flip the table over in your temple and destroy the temple so that you have no truth, no understanding. Paul says this. The apostle says this. Look at the picture, he's saying. Now can you see the truth? Those who have this in them, he will destroy. that temple. Paul says this. Go read it. He's not talking about stone right now. He's taking the picture and translating it, giving the spiritual meaning and truth of it. What does it mean to be destroyed? It means to be lost, separated from our Creator, no truth, confusion, blindness, wretched, miserable, poor. While you're alive, physically, you're dead. False teachers are dead. They're liars. They have no truth in them. This is what you want a perfect parable and example of what it is to be destroyed? The prodigal son. He's destroyed, but see it, that physical picture, eating garbage, right? That's not good if we eat garbage, is it? It means that there's something spiritual going on, garbage within us if we're eating garbage. If you can't understand the earthly, natural thing and laws and commandments, you definitely don't have automatically the heavenly. Messiah taught this. No one can contradict it. Not because I'm so great, because the scriptures can't be contradicted when the truth is given, and then somebody teaches the truth of scripture, not their own truth. And then the evidence. What's the actual evidence? What do I receive for doing this? No physical worldly benefit. None. I get the opposite. Now, is that proof all on its own that something is absolutely true? I don't, not all by itself, but the scriptures teach that. I don't get a worldly gain, secret or openly, for giving someone truth of what I understand. Nothing. In fact, I get the opposite. I get the opposite, just like scripture says. Because that sword is going to cut up and start slashing who and what you are. People can't acknowledge that they're deceived. Therefore, they have not denied themselves. I acknowledge that I'm deceived all the time. Show me if I'm deceived. Something like this kind of prayer. Get the deception out of me. False believers don't believe that about themselves, nor do they pray like that. Exposing the secret things of the heart. This is what's going on. I know that's true. The scriptures teach it. And our Creator's not wrong. So if we teach the actual teaching our Creator has meant for us to see, we're teaching His teaching. Therefore, it can't be contradicted. It can't be wrong. It's not about being right and wrong in some carnal way. Once again, I receive no worldly gain. So what am I doing? Why am I doing this? If someone wants to accuse me, oh, you just want to be great, which is what they want to be. Don't forget that every time someone accuses someone of something, they are that, 100%, unless they're coming out of this world. That's talking about themselves. What's the worldly physical proof that a true believer is, he's gaining nothing in this world? So why is he doing it? Well, because he cares about truth. It doesn't matter what the cost is. It doesn't matter about the persecution or rejection or murder or spiritual murder. It's that few that believe this truth, because there's that few. Am I lying? Show me I'm lying. Many called, few chosen. There's not many at any time in this world that have truth and believe truth. Never. There's only few, maybe some more, some less in any given generation. The scriptures from Genesis to Malachi teaches that. Without saying those exact words Messiah extracted from scripture, it's teaching that constantly. And this is something that people go, wow, I never seen that. This is how it works. We never seen it. And you start seeing this, that the scriptures teach this. It's like right in your face when we're seeing spiritual things. But to carnal man, it's not there. It doesn't exist. There's no backing down on this truth. It's been years. He hasn't rebuked this truth, and I don't see the contradictions. I know it's true. I know the Messiah is not the creator of the heavens and earth. And that's giving glory where it's due for both our Creator and Messiah. Truth gives glory. False brings, blasphemy, the opposite of glory, of esteem, you know. They'll use carnal methods to try and make it look like you're evil. That's what they're going to do. You're going to say, wow, you're putting the Messiah down. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. It's raising him up. It's not doing that. It's not doing anything like, but spiritually, it's revealing truth. How can someone say that I'm putting him down or something when I believe he's the King of Kings? They're liars. Yes, the Messiah was given more than you and more than me, as far as, authority and everything. Spiritual understanding, though, we should be getting that same spiritual understanding, though, right now, like he was being taught and learning through suffering. Do they believe that verse? They don't believe that he learned through suffering. Can you see this, that I'm not making stuff up? That they truly in their heart don't believe that, because the implications of believing that exposes everything they teach and what they do and why they do things. Because they believe he's God. It's a total rejection of all truth. Everything, it's all connected, because remember, there's one. Spiritually, there's one this, one that, one this. It's all one. So if you make a connection, spiritual comparison over here to over there, it's all one, leading to the source, the creator, and to the vine, and then we should be connected to the vine, and it's all one. I and the Father are one. He's not talking about some Trinity, pagan carnal lie. These are spiritual words. The flesh profits nothing. He never spoke flesh. He never spoke natural understanding. This is the meaning of fulfilling the law. Now, if we must walk as he walked, like I read, we also have to fulfill the law. It's spiritual, not just natural. So there's natural sins, right? And then there's spiritual sins. He exposed the spiritual wickedness of people looking like they keep the law on the outside, but their hearts were far from our Creator. See how everything flows beautifully, perfectly? You see these spiritual truths, no one can contradict them. That's the power of Scripture, because it comes from our Creator. When you teach carnal truth, it's contradicted and blasphemed and spit on by men. Don't fall for the people smiling, and that means you're a good person. Don't fall for it. I don't need to smile all the time and pretend I'm good. In fact, if I do that, I'm a sinner. I'm sinning. I'm projecting something that I'm not to someone else, and that's a lie right in itself. It's a lie. If that's not who and what you truly are, you're pretending, you're lying. You're trying to trick the other person to see you as something else. This is the beastly image. And this world is getting worse and worse, and it's going to manifest physically, but we got to see the spiritual war. It's always manifesting. It's always true, but it's getting worse and worse. The sign of the times in 2021 right now, sounds weird saying it, is that the nations are at their latter end. The perversion and spiritual perversion and sexual perversion everywhere, and false teachings of the religious people is everywhere. This cycles. 500 years ago, there were nations that were at the latter times. Destruction is coming. This is why nations vanish off the map. We're there for all the nations, which is it's telling me something pretty big. Fire's coming to cleanse. He's not going to have his land, which, remember, the land has a higher meaning than just the dirt, polluted by men. It's going to be judged and cleaned up. A lot of fire's coming. It's coming. Forget the when and exactly details, okay? A lot of false prophets out there. A lot of liars out there. You know, when somebody makes a false prophecy like this, and then there's still ministers and people believe in after, you just realize they lied, right, about a prophecy. Do you know what the wages for that is? Death. Go read the scripture. Now we have the natural understanding. If someone were to do this, you know, they're stoned to death. But remember, it's spiritual. It's spiritual. If you want to say it always existed, but it's more so spiritual now than anything else natural. We're seed of Abraham spiritually, but it was physically, naturally, to teach them. We're supposed to learn from that right now, not just Israelites. What kind of connection is that? We're carnal, so we need to learn to start keeping the commandments and laws so we can start receiving spiritual meaning of all them. If you reject those things, you don't have Messiah. It's exactly what Messiah taught. That's what he meant by you don't believe in Moses. Everyone thought they believed in Moses, and they claimed that they did. He says they didn't, because they rejected even the earthly commandments and laws and started twisting them. So then how are they going to have heavenly truth, spiritual, when they can't get the lower, easier understanding and acknowledge it? You can't. No one can contradict this. They're not going to like these words because they know it's burning them. They know that they've taught lies and they've been exposed. All the ministers of the world that are teaching false doctrine, all in the denominations, if they heard this video, they're on fire right now. They can't watch it. They can't finish it. They're ready to murder. It's time to pay back. It's time to try to find a fault in Ryan or whatever believer. That's the only thing they can do. They're angry. They're on fire for being exposed as devils in the darkness, masquerading as angels of light to the whole entire world. Messiah taught this? Yeah, he did. Scriptures teach it. He taught it and exposed the spiritual wickedness of the people inside them. Spiritual wickedness inside them. We can't just keep adultery. Don't commit adultery. We must keep the spiritual meaning of that. Don't even lust in your mind, or else you're falling already. That's what he came to do, to fulfill the law. It wasn't fulfilled like this. Natural people keeping natural things, but their heart, it could be as far as the east is from the west from our Creator. He came to fulfill it. He didn't come to do away with it. Somebody that were to come to do that is an anti-creator, is a blasphemer, is a devil that comes to do away with the commandments. He says, I didn't come to do away with that. Does all the church world and all denominations that call themselves Christian believe those words? None of them do. None. Can you see how blind this world is, just like Scripture says? They have eyes but cannot see spiritual things. They have ears that can only hear, a rock fell down. They can't hear any spiritual rocks coming down, stoning them spiritually to death. They can't. They can't even acknowledge they're dead. Not possible for a dead man to see that he's dead. Only when we're given life we could see how dead we were. Don't even think that I came to abolish the laws and commandments. I didn't come to do that. Second time now he's saying, I came to do the opposite, to fulfill. What does the whole church world teach with trickery and snakery? He didn't come to abolish, but he came to fulfill, as in what they mean is abolish. So we don't have to keep the commandments. Can you see what this is? It blows my mind. People believe it. This is the devil's teaching straight from Satan, straight from the devil. He came to do that because Jesus is the false God and devil. He came to fulfill, meaning to abolish. He'll complete it, therefore abolishing it for us, so we don't keep his commandments. And they teach that. You know the whole church world teaches this. All of them teach this. Now, if you were to try to expose it, they're going to start getting shaky and angry because they just don't see. But when you say, what do you mean? So you're saying he came not to abolish, but to abolish? They're going to make something up. They have to. You're exposing the contradiction in front of them that they can't believe that they're that deceived, and the whole entire church world is pagan and deceived. All of them teach this. No exceptions. All of them, whether it's Trinity or Unitarian, believe that this Jesus is God, and he came to abolish the commandments. That's what he came to do. I didn't come to abolish, but I came to abolish. Don't tell anyone. Put that secret finger up to your mouth, the shh, don't tell anyone symbol. You know, Freemasons, devils do this. Pay attention to the symbols. A lot of these ministers actually pump out these symbols. They're showing you who and what they are and who they work for. They work for the synagogue of Satan. See, there's synagogues, and they're all of Satan. Now, Scripture doesn't repeat that 1,000 times, that very phrase. It doesn't need to. Revelation has it. This is the synagogue of Satan. It's not one temple 2,000 years ago. It's spiritual truth. It transcends all time. These are all the synagogues of Satan if they teach these lies. All of them. They're masquerading as light, man, and they're not you won't see the devil in them until it's exposed. This is the wickedness Scripture teaches. They're all wicked. Everyone's wicked. It should be a given because there's no one good, not even one. Do they believe that? Do they believe that about themselves, that there's no one good, not even one? Not even one. Can't even seek him, not even able to do so. Do they believe those words? No. No, that must be given. To seek him, it must be given. He wakes us up. Awake, O sleeper. You know, like the physical sleep, you're worthless when you're sleeping, right? You're vulnerable. I wonder if our Creator didn't have this in mind while creating these things, these pictures that we sleep every day. That spiritually, when you're asleep, like the disciples fell asleep, can you see the spiritual teaching that Messiah was teaching? Did the disciples understand? No, they didn't. Not yet. You carnal men can't handle all this truth at once. So then that's true for all carnal religious leaders. They can't handle the truth. They're asleep. They're asleep. Now they physically fell asleep, but this means something. He said, watch and pray. For what? For the enemy, right. But if that's somebody's understanding, and that's the only understanding, is watching for men with swords coming at you, if that's the understanding, we're devils. That's the letter of the law. That's the literal, natural understanding. Your heart has nothing to do with, that doesn't prove anything all by itself. Your heart can be as far as the east is from the west, and you look like you're watching and praying. It means nothing if you don't have the spiritual thing, which is the Creator working in us, literally, His Spirit working in us. They all do the same thing. They all say a few weird words and go around the problem and then attack you personally and say, you're attacking me. To forget, so everyone, to make people forget in themselves the actual problem that they can't face. Did Messiah say, my Elohim and your Elohim? Did he say, my Father and your Father? Can you say that and not have it mean my Creator? Can you do that? If so, what? Where's the teaching? And show me and explain the contradiction to me. Fix it. I don't know of anyone that can say my Elohim, my Father, and it refers to some man here on earth, their brother or sister or neighbor. He's referring to the Creator. So Messiah is referring to his Creator. There's 1,000 contradictions, you know, and I just remember as I'm given, but if I was to actually study this and start writing them all down, there probably is 1,000. Messiah, it's a much deeper problem than just the teaching on the surface that Jesus is God. Much deeper. Nobody sees it, though. They don't want to see it. Much deeper. They worship the devil. That's the difference. That's how deep it is. It's the difference between worshiping the devil and worshiping our Creator in spirit and truth. Messiah is our mediator between man and Elohim, just like Moses was. If they can't understand the natural earthly thing, they can't understand the heavenly thing that's happening. That is true now. Was Moses God, the Creator? Then neither is Messiah, of which Moses was a type of Messiah. If he wasn't God, the Creator, and Elohim and the Father, then how could Messiah be when Moses is a mediator between man and the Creator, a messenger? Look, people, I hear his voice. Go this way, this path. Does that mean Moses is the Creator, God? So the Trinity doctrine says that Jesus is not the Father. They do this so that people can't see it on, at that moment on the surface. Yes, they do teach that Jesus is the Father. You can't say that Jesus, false name, false man, anti-Messiah, is God. He's not the Father at the same time. It's nonsense. This teaching is just pure foolishness and wickedness. I'm tired of hearing it. That's what they do. And there's a lot of different examples, This is what you have to say, because you constantly say Jesus is God. Don't deny it now when you're being confronted. Stop acting like that's not true when you're being confronted. And then when it needs to be, you say it openly. You can't pick and choose. One day he's not God and the other he is, because you're being confronted and trapped by truth. You can't do that. Not actually. You as in anybody who believes this. You have to say that the Messiah that God is the descendant of man. A perverted blasphemy. But they don't say that, do they? They say the Messiah is. Cover up. Descendant of David. They say the Messiah is God, the Creator, and yet not the Father. These people are blind as it gets. They're worse than a blind man physically. You can't call the Messiah, the Creator, God, and also say he's not the descendant of David. You can't do that without making yourself a fool and contradicting his word, because that's how it works. Tired of it. Not standing on this channel or in my life. Nowhere. I'm not going to let someone get away with that if they teach that. If they're speaking to me, they're not going to say it without me exposing them. God was born and came from the seed from David and Abraham and Adam. That's what they have to teach, but they don't teach it because they're devils. Because they see the problem on the surface of that, so they play word games all day long the rest of their life. Only devils could twist the truth like that. Mix truth with lies like the snake did, like the serpent. That old crafty serpent, the devil. You have to realize that we are devils if we don't have him in us. It's all very external though. Oh, Satan this, Satan that. You are Satan. When you persecute the saints, you're Satan. When you accuse them falsely, you're a devil. That's what devil means, false accuser. Messiah overcame this and destroyed the works of the devil. And there's people out there that teach that the devil was literally destroyed. Some carnal teaching. Doesn't know what it means. There is no devil anymore. There's a group of people out there that teach this. It doesn't get worse than that. Oh, this world is not, because they don't believe this world is evil. All I see is evil everywhere. They don't, because the devil was destroyed. This is the kingdom of heaven in its fullness here, right now. It's manifested right now in its fullness. That's what they teach. And they teach that they're going to spread their religion or kingdom of heaven, which is a synagogue of Satan, all around the earth. And they did. It took 2,000 years, but we're here. We're here. That leaven that a woman hid in the darkness in secret, that yeast to grow until the whole thing is lumped and grown, has spread all over the world. That's what this parable, that's the understanding I've been given. And it's a sign that this world is towards the latter days of the last days, because there's a church world temple in every single corner on every single street of the world, pretty much, pretty darn close. This is the leaven that has spread, that's right next to the kingdom of heaven, and it's swallowing up truth, because the kingdom of the devil is at battle right here, right now, with the kingdom of heaven, and these temples have spread everywhere. Woman is a harlot in Scripture, and she hid this in darkness. They teach these things like Jesus is God through spiritual darkness, through secrecy, through deception, twisting words, playing word games. That's how they do this, in darkness, just like Messiah said that they would do. And the good news is, you want to hear some good news? Jerusalem was wiped out. The world was judged. This is just a type of the world being judged. Evil being destroyed. Every temple is going to crumble just like it did in the type, because the temple was still standing, and every single teaching while the temple is standing is a natural sort of manifestation, natural carnal truth, if you will, of the spiritual thing. So all people are going to crumble. They're going to fall. And all the religions of this world are going to fall. And Babylon, the harlot, her light will shine no more. People say this was already accomplished. What are you, insane? You must be Satan to say that. You must be a devil to believe that that's been accomplished in its fullness. All I see is this fake light and temples everywhere of Satan. And they say it's accomplished because Jerusalem was destroyed, and that's what scriptures are speaking of. Once again, no spiritual understanding. The kingdoms of this world are going to crumble. That was just the type. It happened. Therefore, you can be confident it's going to manifest as the second fulfillment in the full. Utter destruction of wickedness and all the temples and religions of this world is coming. It's going to shake. He'll test it. Let me give a 20.0 earthquake, the biggest there ever was. And if it stands, well, it's of truth. But guess what? Nothing is going to stand when that earthquake comes. Nothing is going to stand. Representing that spiritual truth also, that wickedness will not stand. It's going to be wiped out. And our Creator has good intentions, not evil. The church world says, this was a more unusual video, getting loud like this, because I'm fired up. I don't have any evil intentions in my mind. While I'm doing this video, I'm just lusting to hurt someone and kill someone. Can't just hate the church world. Didn't even enter my mind. Didn't even enter my mind in 50 minutes right now. Someone's going to claim that that is because they have to. Because they have to do that so that they can throw down all the truth I'm giving. If you can say this guy is a hypocrite and evil, you throw down all his truth with him. That's what they did to the Messiah. They'll do it. They won't have an actual cause. They murder you and kill you without cause. People don't believe those words. They think that's crazy. Everyone has a reason. It's because they don't understand the meaning of that. Spiritual blinding. There is no actual righteous cause for what they do. They just make it all up with their carnal, beastly mind. Ecclesiastes 3:18. He would test you, and he tests everyone, And when you're tested, you manifest what you are, a beast or not. And everyone's a beast, but see, then they have to acknowledge they are and then start overcoming like Messiah overcame this world. All the evil, lust, and false accusations, and murder, and hatred, and secrecy, and darkness. He overcame it somehow, some way, so it's not going to seem like we're overcoming or we can. That's what it seemed like with him. But he had the faith given to him. He abided in the Father. So he did overcome then. He's the first man, first example, first man of humanity to do what he did, what the Father had him do. He's mankind. He's not the creator. There's no teaching that says man is the creator. When man says this, it's blasphemy. Have you ever read the scriptures? They think that they can teach this truth. A man that says that, oh, if he calls himself God, he's prideful, and that's blasphemy. And yet they say Messiah did that because they're devils. They're falsely accusing him like the Pharisees did. The scripture teaches that when man believes in his heart and says that I am God, I have ascended to the heavens, that is utter blasphemy because that's not true. You're not the creator. And it's full of pride. They say Messiah did this. So they don't believe he's a man. I'm telling you, they don't believe that he is a flesh and blood man just like us. They don't believe he's humanity. They don't, because they don't believe that he has a father and has a Elohim or God. You know, not or God, but not too many people probably hear Elohim, so they don't believe he has a creator. My Elohim, why have you forsaken me? It's going to look like we're forsaken, doesn't it? Right before our death. And then you come to life because of this death. You overcome the world. So this literally happened. It's a physical picture of spiritual truth. See, he died. And this represents dying to the carnality of who and what you are, the flesh being destroyed. That's when you have life, when you destroy your flesh, your soul. And then he was risen again. Full of life. I live forevermore. We can have this life now, but remember, it's always going to be a battle because the flesh is still here. He's the first. Nobody's gone up to heaven. People aren't just shooting up to heaven after they die. There's no greater contradiction to Scripture than that. When it so obviously and painfully teaches that this is one event. It's all the same time. Well, people are going to hell and heaven one by one. Off they go. Scripture says there is no praising our Creator in death. Do they believe that? Do they believe that? No, they don't. Because they say that people are doing that. That's what they teach. People are praising him right now after they die. They don't believe in the resurrection. They don't believe in anything.